Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast. Today, I am joined by Luke Cook, who is no stranger to facing challenges and adversity in both life and business. Over the past 5 years, Luke has used every moment, good and bad, to create something extraordinary. From launching Cuppa TV at the start of COVID to the work he does helping organisations with culture and growth, Luke is passionate about transforming key moments into movements for change. Welcome to the podcast, Luke.
Oh, Amy, so glad to be here.
It really is a pleasure to have you. And it feels like such a moment to regroup and have you on the podcast, because it's crazy to think it's been 5 years really since COVID kicked off. And when this episode goes out, which will be the 11th of March, that is officially when COVID was declared a pandemic. And at that time, gosh, Alex and I were in Bali preparing for our wedding, which was certainly not without its challenges and could probably be a podcast in its own. And we were returned to the home quarantine after that wedding. But you were also starting quite an interesting journey when COVID hit. So can you take us back a little bit, 5 years, and tell our listeners a little bit of what you've been going through, what you've started up, and the launch of Cuppa TV, which is what I mentioned in my introduction.
Yeah, it's it's one of those sort of moments in time where you at the time you think it's the worst thing that is going on in your world, but it ends up being the best thing. And you know, at that time of COVID, I was a founder of a previous business called FunLocker, which was a rewards, loyalty and gifting app to match money can't buy experiences to people's interests, hobbies and desires. I invested everything into it. So I was one of those founders that backed themselves. And when I say invested everything into it, I sold my property. I used the equity to build the app and the technology. And I went all in and made a lot of mistakes. In the early stages of FunLocker, made bad UX decisions that cost me 40 grand. And it was always a hard slog, but we started to get a little bit of traction, and we had about 400 experience makers, like, you know, rugby league teams who would upload experiences like standing on the field with your favorite footy team, or celebrity chefs uploading their restaurant experiences. And in premise, the idea was great. And we actually had a couple of clients that were going to, commit large deals with us. And I needed that money because I started running out of my own personal cash flow. Anyway, 2020 appeared, and next thing you know, COVID hit. And I remember fielding 2 phone calls. I think it was around March, like early March, mid-March, where those 2 big clients said, we just can't invest. And we then had, once the lockdowns happened, all the experience makers shut their doors because they were struggling because they couldn't do anything. So our app was redundant and I didn't have any money left. And when I say that, I actually didn't know how I was going to put food on the table for my young family at that stage. I had a young daughter. I was only newly married as well. And it caused so much pressure in me. I had so much guilt of making a big decision as an entrepreneur to back myself, to a point where I cried every day, Amy. Like it was one of those moments where I didn't want to do anything. I just cried. And you know what? It's sometimes in those moments where you hit the ground hard. And I think you do hit the ground hard, and it happens often in life. But my methodology is, as long as you're looking up, there's always a chance, right? So if you are landing on your floor really hard, just look up and just take the next one step. Now, I didn't know what that one step was going to be, but that one step ended up being me going up to my local coffee shop and buying a double shot latte. It's literally the only thing I bought for myself during that period. And I started walking back and I started thinking about my mental health. And then I started thinking about the mental health of others. And whilst I knew COVID was bad, I thought that mental health was going to be the biggest challenge, because this is a traumatic experience that I still don't think many of us have ever dealt with, in all honesty.
And I still don't think we'll ever realise and understand the gravity of it.
Never. We definitely haven't moved through the trauma, and that still sits with many people today. Anyway, when that moment happened, I started thinking, looking at the news every single morning, it was just all depressing. And I thought, oh, geez, there's got to be a better way to start your day. So I decided to launch a virtual cafe, a place where every morning I would wake up and interview someone in my network to help stay positive and inspired. Now, we only plan to do a month's worth of shows, but I plan to do it Monday through to Friday every single day. And we started inviting people like Lane Beachley and world champions, and Human Nature appeared on the show. And we had Kerry Potters, the gold medalist. We had Jimmy Barnes appear. And we started holding these moments every single morning. And you know what COVID really did was it was like this equalization. It didn't matter if you were a celebrity. It didn't matter if you were a CEO. It didn't matter if you were a janitor. It affected everyone. And it made everyone equal. It made everyone human, which I actually think is a great thing.
Yeah.
To equalize us all, to go, well, it doesn't matter what your status is. You are equal because everyone was affected.
Yeah.
And so, it started from there. And we planned 30 shows. And then next thing you know, I kept on doing it free of charge for a whole year. And then companies started reaching out to us to monetize those conversations. And we're still here 5 years on. And our true north is just continuously growing. And what we're looking to do in society is something I can't wait to share with the world.
Fantastic. And I remember tuning in for the morning coffees. And I just remember at the time and through that year, really, having so much, admiration that getting up, doing it again, doing it, just keeping it going. We joked, we all saw the sort of, the politicians having to get up there every day. But you somehow found that energy to dig deep and keep doing it.
But I think for Amy, just to stop there, like, you know how hard it is. Like I was doing a run sheet every single day, dealing with talent every single day. We did it for a whole year free of charge. It was so intense, but it gave me a purpose. It gave me a reason to wake up every day. And when I started getting emails from people to say, oh my God, that just really shifted my life. We saved lives during that time. And I know we did because I got the Instagram messages and all that. And that's what drove me. And that what gave me purpose. And that gave me a real vibe to keep going in this direction. And then I learnt so much from it.
Yeah. Was there ever some points in those early years where you did think, why am I doing this? Maybe I should be going and finding other jobs or other opportunities or something. What made you keep going?
The impact that we were having is what made me keep going. But there was days like, we didn't make money there for a long period of time. And the money that I was making, was pittance, in all honesty, with everything. And so, there was days. But I think fundamentally, if I look back at who Luke Cook always has been, as a kid, I was someone that was wanting to make people happy. That's in my nature. I was always the kid on stage leading the assembly. I was always the person in drama doing the acting. My first ever job was lightning Luke on the streets of Sydney, handing out free cans of Coke and doing live crosses on the radio. And I suppose this was like a pivotal moment in my life where, it just felt natural for me to be doing this. It felt natural for me to be able to hold space in a world that needed the space. And there was never any inkling that what I was doing was wrong.
Yeah. And
so when that inkling isn't there, as in what I'm doing is wrong and that's now I need to go get a job, what I was doing was right. And it was giving. And I just held strong to that. And, then companies started to invest more money and we started to make more money and all that type of stuff. But I think the interesting part, if I look at my entrepreneurial journey, is that Fun Locker was always, my other business prior to COVID, was always something that I had to sell. I had to sell it. I don't have to sell Cuppa. Cuppa is the inkling of what humanity is all about. It's about connection. It's about having conversations like we are today. So I get to do something that I think is fundamental in the world. And that is a beautiful place to be. And it's a beautiful place to bring new conversations to people around different walks of life where you don't sit down with a First Nations person or you don't sit down with a quadriplegic. You don't sit down with someone who's transgender and hear their story. It's a really unique spot that I'm in, and in the toughest moments, and there's been many, that's what's carried me through, is that there is a bigger goal in mind. There is a bigger play in mind.
Absolutely. And you touched on there some of the type of people you have perhaps engaged with and spoke to on the journey. Over this last 5 years, do any conversations come to mind from the people that you've spoken to on Cuppa TV who have really had an influence on your life, whether it's been personally or professionally?
And most people probably say like the celebrities, like world champions, like Lane Beachley. And trust me, like every time I listen to Lane Beachley, I learn something new. And by all means, like amazing people. But the real learnings that I've taken out are by having conversations with people that are completely different from me. It took me 39 years to sit down with a First Nations person to have a conversation and hear their story. It took me 39 years to sit down with someone that was transgender to hear their story, someone that was a quadriplegic. And the reason why that is because I had many unconscious biases that I didn't know. If I'm being fully honest and transparent, there was jokes that I used to make against those communities. And until you sit in the eggshell conversation, the fragile conversation, the conversation where you're sitting alongside someone and looking into their eyes, even though it's through a screen, and you're starting to have conversations that make you feel uncomfortable, that make you not wanting to offend the other person on the other side because you don't know the questions asked, that is when real growth takes place. Because when you sit in the uncomfortable, that and then you lead with curiosity and a willingness to understand and not to reply or have an opinion, you grow so much. And that to me, like we interviewed a transgender woman by the name of Sandra Pankhurst. Unfortunately, she's passed away now. But Sandra was totally the opposite person to me. She was born as a boy, and she was adopted out to a family that couldn't have kids. She was then abused as a child throughout all her life. Yeah. She was then one of the first ever transgender recipients in New South Wales. She then became a prostitute and then became a trauma cleaner, like cleaning up houses of deceased or hoarder houses and all that type of stuff, right? Every part of her life is not something that I've experienced as a white privileged male. Yet, the humility and the humanity that she carried in the conversation of love and respect, we can all live that, you know? And so I sit back and I look back at the years of my conversations, and every one that I've had where I've felt the nerves before a conversation are the ones that have given me the true value. And most of the time that's around topics of conversation that I have no idea about.
Wow. Yeah, that is super powerful. And yeah, like you said, it's depending on your upbringing and where you live, what school, what parents you have, what line of work you go into. There is, you know, parts of the community around the world that you just have no idea with and just don't ever engage.
Well, I encourage everyone who's listening, just look at your friends network. They look, sound, act like you.
Yeah.
I've got 90% of your friends would be exactly the same, as in, you know, they're probably the same color. They're probably the same nationality. If they're not the same nationality, they're probably not. They're still Western society. Yeah. And then you look at their ability or their disability, you know, like, and we wonder why the world is at a divide at the moment. And it's because, like, and I love this little thing, you know, 99.9% of our DNA is exactly the same. So why the F are we just focused on the 0.1%? Because it's not who we need to be. And you know what, Amy, 5 years ago, I would have went blah, 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 blah. Until you sit there opposite someone and you go in there with the willingness to hear their story and learn more, like it's game-changing stuff. And people just don't do it because we're so used to instant gratification now, quick interactions, not meaningful enough. We have an opinion because it's so easy to drop an opinion. But your opinion means nothing, in all honesty, until you sit opposite someone and have a story and listen to their story. And then if they ask for your opinion, then your opinion's validated. Until then, shut the F up.
That is, just for anyone listening, that is, Such a good, light bulb moment, if you will, Luke, that you've just communicated to us all. Just to paint a picture for our listeners of what Cuppa TV actually is these days. If we think, as you said, it started as the virtual coffee shop, just from a business or platform point of view, so our listeners can understand a little bit more about what the business journey you've been on, what it's grown to now.
Yeah. So Cuppa started as a virtual-based show. Where then we built out a platform that I sort of called as the Netflix for conversations, where people could tune in to all different conversations. I said it was where binge watching actually improves your life and doesn't take it away. But we started around like well-being based conversations, mental health, relationships, financial, and then we broadened it out to workplace, so leadership, productivity, communication. Then we broadened it out to belonging-based topics of conversation, so DE&I, First Nations, transgender, societal issues. So we are like a one-stop shop of where we connect great thought leadership to the community. Now, thought leaders to us are our bread and butter, like a cuppa, right? Like you're only as good as a conversation if there's two people yinging and yanging, right? Otherwise, you're just talking to yourself. And if you're doing that, put headphones in, because then it makes it look like you're on the phone if you are talking to yourself. All right? Just hint to everyone out there. And if you see me walking around talking with myself, it's because I've got headphones on and I'm not actually talking to anyone. But anyway, getting back to the story around Cuppa.tv. Our thought leader community, we now got over 550 thought leaders from all different walks of life, the world champions to the stolen generation to laughter yoga experts to menopause experts. There's literally not one conversation you can throw at me. And the way that we work and our platform, so yes, we've got our Cuppa.tv, but we commercialize conversations in a nutshell. So companies reach out for speakers. So we monetize speaker bookings and thought leadership pieces where organizations can use our thought leaders. We've produced over 70,000 minutes worth of conversational content now. So we license that content out to third-party platforms and providers, because every platform and provider is boring and they don't have any content themselves that is rich enough. So we do that. We create programs for clients to help shift narratives. Now, that could be everything from leadership capabilities to reconciliation action plans. And it's not us that does it. We collaborate with the thought leader that goes into the organization and do all that type of stuff. So we're like a connector between thought leaders and organizations to make a positive change. Where Cuppa is going, late last year, I made the decision to turn us into a social enterprise. Now, a social enterprise, I didn't know you could be a for-profit social enterprise. I thought you had to be a non-for-profit. But a for-profit social enterprise is someone that is certified that they do good in the world, which we've always done. And so it made natural sense for us to put that line in the concrete, not the sand, because that's always movable, but the line in the concrete. What that means now is that we'll invest 50% of any of our profits into social impact initiatives that do good, that does good in the world. Now, that could be new conversations, it could be new shows, it could be new formats, documentaries, TV shows, who knows? But everything's going to be centralized around how do we create more social purpose and social impact in the world. We're moving away from just doing workplace initiatives, and we're going all in on movement generation. How do we turn an idea that galvanizes a community to actually move away from just being aware about situations or caring about them to showing where they're driving the change in their own personal actions? Now, that can happen around domestic violence. That can happen around everything. So our biggest growth area and where we're heading as a business is around social impact movements and becoming one of the go-to destinations to create societal change by leveraging the thought leaders, the ideas, the solutions that we have in our network of amazing people who sit and we speak to every day.
That is fantastic. I mean, my goodness, what it's become over 5 years. When you started out then, you wouldn't have had any idea it would have grown.
No, but this is the thing, right? I've probably reiterated this business 3 or 4 times. That's not counting how many times I had to reiterate Funlocker. It's been a constant journey of evolution because society has moved with it. Yes. When it started, it was virtual because that's where people were. Yeah. Then it had to turn into something else and morph into something else. And that is okay. That's life. Like every year there is something else new in our lives, whether it's kids or whatever. We just got to adapt and evolve. And I think most of the time as a society, we get caught up in perfection and we really need to switch that conversation to progress. It doesn't matter if you stuff up. You stuff up. Who cares? Like in the broader scheme of things, it is what it is. You learn from it. That's what a stuff up is. That's what a life moment is. That's what anything is. So, for me, it's I I'll test things. I'll stuff up. I'll test things again. I'll waste more money. I'll stuff up. Whatever. It's fine as long as the narrative is there and the focus and where you're heading and what the bigger goal and outcome is. Then it's never a stuff up. It's a learning experience.
Absolutely. And I think that is just so refreshing to hear and a reminder also because, I think in business, some people do have that vision of what the thing is they're creating or that real end goal in mind. So it's like, oh, it's got to be this thing. And then they'll be rigid and not open to adapting and changing. Whereas, as you said, you've really adapted, reinvented where you've needed to and grown into something even more amazing than you would even set out to do beforehand.
Yeah, like I've been really thinking about this. Like, will I ever sell Cuppa? I can't see myself doing it because it's turned more from a business. Like Fun Locker was always out there to try and make me money, and that's where it went wrong. I believe, even though COVID was the reason why it went wrong, but it was that tipping point of decision where I had to do something else. Whilst this is more of hopefully a legacy that I can leave. And, I've got 2 young daughters now. It's my responsibility as a dad who brought them in this world to find ways that their world can be better. That's the driver.
And give them that place for education that, they won't necessarily get in a classroom.
No, they won't get it in the classroom. And, the way that we're setting it ourselves up as a society where there's a lot of challenges that our kids will face because of the decisions that we're making now. And we need to be not just aware about situations, not just caring about it, but showing where we're driving the change. That's the tipping point of movements, is showing where you're driving the change beyond just thinking about it.
Yeah. You work a lot with individuals and organizations to transform key moments into movements for change. Can you explain a little bit more about this concept of moments to movements and what it means to you?
Yeah, so moments to movements, I'll be very clear with this. Moments to movements is Luke Cook's brand and my philosophy. So I'm the how around how moments to movements occurs. There's a methodology that sits underneath this. There is a whole ecosystem that sits underneath. How do you turn a moment into a movement as an individual, as an organization, as a society? Cuppa is the engine room of where moments to movements occurs. So I'm the how and Cuppa is where. So moments to movements occurs because I've experienced so many moments in my life that have really either floored me or have made me think or learn from. Even with Cuppa, the moment around just going to the cafe, buying a double shot latte was a moment in time that has now turned into a movement of positive change. The thing behind me here, if you are watching, is a $40 investment. A $40 poster sits on my wall because I hated Zoom backgrounds at the time. This $40 investment compared to a $200,000 investment, which was the previous app, is a moment in time that has turned into a movement where we've had the likes of Dawn Fraser, Ian Thorpe, you name it, in front of this, like with me on this. So each one of us are proposed and impacted by challenges that happen in our life. It's just what we do with those challenges. So I think it might be a nice little narrative here of what I usually say is that I look at my life now, and I've had major things happen in my life. I lost my dad when I was 4, right? I had a single mum growing up. We always had money struggles, right? These are all big moments that play.
Absolutely.
I've lost my business. I've lost all my money. I'm now divorced. I lost my business partner, Jill. I lost my best mate. I've lost like 5 people recently. It's like far out, man. These individual moments can debilitate us. And you know what? At the time when those moments occur, it's okay. It's okay to sit in the, can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay to sit in the shit. You and I had a phone call the other day where I said, I don't know if I can do this because I'm dealing with a personal issue at the moment. And I felt like I needed to sit in the shit for a bit. Because until we walk towards the pain, until we walk in and be with that pain, we can't move forward. So the way I set this up now and where moments to movements really came from was I looked at my life when I had 3 big things happen in my life. I turned 39, which was the same age as my dad when I lost him. COVID hit and I lost my business, and I lost my best mate, Hodgie, who was a person I'd ring every single day. These 3 moments happened within like a 4-month period, and it rocked me. where I said I cried every day, and it was an accumulation of all these moments. What I did then, and I don't know why I did it, but I did it, is I actually sat down and I timelined my whole life. I looked at every moment that I could remember that was either good, because moments can be good. Let's not forget about that. It's not every moment shit. The good, the bad, the big, the small, right? And I sat down and timelined my life. I put down what happened, when it happened, what happened, how I felt at the time, how I felt now, and did I learn anything from it? Now, I look at this timeline now as like your life resume. You know, we all get caught up on our actual physical resume, but I think our life resume carries the most weight because it fundamentally makes us who we are. Our work resume is just a piece of fucking paper of what our accomplishments. But our life resume is fundamentally why we're here.
Yeah.
Now,
and what actually happened versus some resumes might be a little bit more glorified to only sing out the highlights.
Totally. So then what I did is I went, geez, these are like little individual moments. And I started placing this like a puzzle narrative, right? Where we got this vision in this world where we want to be. We might not even know what that looks like yet, but all we're presented is these individual moments. So these little puzzle pieces in our life. And when we think about it like a puzzle, right, it means that it's just a piece in our life.
Yeah.
So not one moment defines you, but all moments do make you. It's our own ability to be able to work out how we place that moment in our overall narrative. The beautiful thing about our picture is it's unique to us. No one else can take that away. It's our story. Fuck, that's amazing. We just got to learn how to place those pieces. And if you think about the puzzle piece, each one has a connection point. And if you timeline your own life, you'll see that there is a narrative of connection that carries all the way through. And sometimes that narrative of connection is a negative trauma that keeps on repeating itself. Then we've got to go back into the pain and deal with that type of stuff. Even me now, sitting here or talking to you right now, is I know where my biggest trigger points in life are. And it's because of the trauma of losing my dad when I was 4 and the experience of loss and struggle, right? That carries through to me. So whenever I experience loss and struggle, I go deep.
Yeah, brings it all back.
But it doesn't go away. You can't hide your puzzle piece underneath the couch and hope a fucking metaphorical vacuum will clean it up, because if that sucks, you can't complete your puzzle until you sit in it and work through it. But what a journey you're going to go on once you do it. And it's going to take time, and that's okay. So moments to movements occurs because I see every moment as just a piece that can lead to your overall vision. The challenge that we face as a society is we get impacted by those moments and we don't do the next thing. And the next thing is just about moving. It's just about, in the word movement, it's that word move. Like, what's the next one thing that I can do? Who's that one person that I can call right now because I need that conversation? I need that laugh. What's the one thing that I can learn from this that I might be able to share with someone else when they're going through a difficult stage? So it's just, we don't need to overcomplicate things. We don't need to go. Yeah. It's this progress methodology of just what's the next one thing? And you'll start to see that movement occurs if you keep on doing those next one things.
I love that metaphor. And yeah, I think you've really just shared some great sort of almost exercises people can consider doing. But to almost, I guess, summarize and capture that, if people listening are perhaps facing a challenge in their life right now, whether it's life or business, and they can't really see forward, how do you build resilience?
You got to stop blaming everything else happening. You got to own it. This is you. This is because most people go down the narrative, oh, that person pissed me off, or why is this happening to me? And you're looking for external validation. It doesn't happen. First and foremost, you need to realize that no matter what situation you're in, you need to own it. And that's a tough conversation to have, right? Someone that might be a domestic violence survivor. Like, how do you not place that blame on something else, right? And that's tough. But it's your own vessel, so you need to own it. It might be, yes, that shit has happened, but you need to own the next step. So you got to be careful of the blame, right? Be careful of trying to push it out, because that just doesn't solve it. You need to surround yourself with beautiful people, your tribe, not the tribe that will give you their opinion, the tribe that will just let you sit there in your shit and listen. Too often we surround ourselves with those that offer their opinion. And again, I state it again, like unless I'm asking for your opinion. I had a really good conversation just before this call with Mitch Wallace, who I think is a game changer in this space around real conversations. He's written a book called Real Conversations, which supports mental health. He's an absolute weapon when it comes to holding space and being able to talk and listen. Anyway, I had the conversation with him about where I'm at. And he just goes, Cookie, I've heard you. I'm listening. If it's of any worth, can I say something to you that might be able to support you? Only if it's... And so he asked for my validation to say the opinion, to get the opinion from him. It's a simple exercise. So for me, it is about you got to own it. You got to surround yourself with the right tribe. And then the third thing is just do the next one thing. It's just the one thing. Like what I did at my lowest moment, beyond, going up, getting a cuppa and the thing, I owned the morning. I got up every morning to see the sunrise. I ran down to my favorite spot. I did a meditation. I did breath work. I came back, had a shower, ate breakfast. I didn't look at my phone, and I just owned my moment because I could look back at the end of the day, even though I probably cried 4 or 5 times throughout the day, but I could look at that one moment and go, I did something for me. And you just got to keep on doing the one thing. Then those one things become more things and more things happen and things progress. The unfortunate thing is we just get so caught up in our mind, and I've, again, been guilty of this. And the avalanche of thoughts and the self-doubt and the self-criticism is I learned a very good technique from one of the speakers around just calling it out. You got to name it. Like, shut up, Bob. Bob, get out of my head. You do not serve me. This is not your time to be here. There's just little techniques, and engage yourself in things that actually help you. Don't be careful of doom scrolling. Be careful of surrounding yourself by reading news articles of other fear that's going on. It attracts it. I need to get better at it myself some days. And again, I'm not perfect. This is life. This is the shitstorm we're all in, and the rainbows that we see. It's all part of it. And if we can embrace each moment, no matter what it is, and see it as a learning and growth opportunity, if it's good, bad, big or small, we'll all be better off, I reckon.
Fantastic. The jigsaw is definitely made up of a lot of pieces, isn't it? A lot of different pieces in different shapes.
I did my own little voice memo the other day saying mine's this one of 1,000 pieces of blue sky, and there's no picture to find where each thing fits. So,
yes,
it can be complex, and some people cop it more than others, and their picture is a little bit harder to do. But they're the ones that have the real growth story and the resilience story, and the ones that I believe, like, no matter how hard you're at this time, just being able to place those when those puzzle pieces are placed. Like, and again, I'll just share this, and like, it took me 35 years to place my dad's puzzle piece. For 35 years, I tried to hide that. As a young kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, I didn't know where that piece fit. How could I? I didn't know the man. I didn't know his values. I didn't know who he was. I couldn't ask him the questions. He wasn't there for the days. That was just a void until I turned 39. Until I went, holy shit, I'm the same age as my dad, I said, when he passed. And then I just went to that place of, well, I'm going to beat him, firstly. Like, I'm older than him. And I might have another 39 years. So why can't I place this now? And why can't I, because I didn't know my dad's values. I didn't know who he was. I need to tell my girls everything about who their dad is. Yes. And how great am I right now about documenting every video that I've done, and maybe the book that I write. And that's my opportunity to place that piece now, is to add value from learning that your life's pretty precious. You could go at any day. What are you doing to set yourself up for the future, and what impact are you leaving in the world to do that?
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Luke, for just taking us through the journey that you've been on, particularly over the last 5 years. I know it's been quite the roller coaster, and real inspiration that I've seen from following you on LinkedIn, meeting you in person, last year, and attending some of your Cuppa things along the way. So thanks for sharing all of that. And what I will do now is put you on the spot with a couple of our really good conversation cards, which are going to be completely off topic of what we have discussed today. Right. You've said some beautiful and profound and thought-provoking things for our listeners, so I'll just take it to a completely random place. So, question number 1. If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
That's a great question. If I came with a warning label, what would it say? Get out of my fucking way. Probably what it would say, because, once I'm a very determined person and stubborn and probably everything else that comes with it. And if I'm on my path, it's either, get out of my way or hop on board. Let's say that. Hop on board.
Yeah. Brilliant. Question number 2. What was your favourite subject at school?
Recess and lunch. I was never the academic. But at school, I really loved drama. I really do. I did. I really enjoyed that. And obviously PE and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. Geography, I wasn't too bad at for some reason. But maths and English could take a back seat.
Yeah. Brilliant. I always think asking that question now, does it show any insights to what the person has then gone into later in life in their career? So as you said, recess, lunch, drama.
Socialising.
Socialising, connecting, chatting, playing, having fun. So I could definitely be on board with that. And question number 3. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
My superpower, what would my superpower be? I'd probably say strength. I think now, I don't know if I would have said that 5 years ago, but I think now strength in a way that isn't just physical.
Brilliant. And the final question that I like to ask all of our guests is, if you could ask any person, dead or alive, a question, who would it be and what would you ask them?
I'm going to bring it back to the somber moment. I'd love to just have a moment with my dad. I would love to just be able to sit across from him and just say, my question would be is, I just want to ask him how he is, just a simple question. I want to know what were his dreams? That's what I'd want to ask. What are your dreams, Dad? That's what I'd love to ask.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Luke. It's been fantastic chatting to you. I really do appreciate your time. And thank you just for sharing everything.
What a great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests. And if really good conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights and banter.